This fresh coat of the startup life has been sprayed on nice and smooth by Wagner and the Flexio Series of paint sprayers. Startup Nation, my wife decided she wanted to rehab her childhood home. The goal was to fix it up and invite a nice family to rent it out. We knew one of the biggest jobs we had to undertake was painting. However, from the walls, the cabinets, and even the siding outside, it was going to be a big task. As entrepreneurs with a company to run, we knew this was going to take up a lot of our time, which is why we decided to get a paint sprayer. And after much research, we decided to go with the sprayer from the Flexio Series from Wagner. Startup Nation, these sprayers are top-notch because of its flexibility to paint or stain walls, furniture, cabinets, and more. It's 10 times faster than using a paintbrush, which was a big selling point for us. And you can paint or stain right from the can. It's also easy to clean in 5 minutes, and being great for indoor and outdoor projects, a paint sprayer from the Flexio Series clearly needs to be part of the arsenal in your garage. So if you're ready to stain your deck, or like me, fill your daughter's request of a bubblegum pink room, up your game with a paint sprayer from the Flexio Series by Wagner. Take it from me, your time will thank you. Hey Startup Nation, so clearly if you're listening to this, we ran out of time on radio and we don't like to make our radio partners upset with us. But we still want to give you that extra content, so that bonus content of the startup life begins now.
Until then, Startup Nation, if you have an idea, be about that life, the startup life. And that's it. What did you think?
I liked it. And you brought up a whole nother thing, man. At
What's
the
that?
end. I should have said this, like, man.
We're still recording, by the way.
Oh, shit.
No, go ahead. Say it.
No, it's just like, okay, that's a whole other point, like, honestly, about people looking beside them. Like, you see the person next to you, they raise theirs up by 3 points, so you try to, like, raise yours up by 3.
Man.
And it's like, bruh, this is part of it. For that person, this could be part of a plan. So when I get on the treadmill, I'm kind of like this. I'm not a sprinter. But I'm also, I don't have 99 minutes to kind of be on the treadmill, right?
Well, if I'm doing 99 minutes because you're in Zumba or something.
I know. Yeah. I got like a whole class, right? I can do that. But it's like, far as the treadmill, it's just like I have a whole system for, like, I increase slowly until I get to my peak, pretty much like speed, and then I decrease slowly from there. So even though I'm usually tired after that peak speed part, but I'm still not going to let myself just, all right, cool, I'm just going to jump off the treadmill now, right? I have to bring it back down. I have to commit to following through the process.
Right.
But every time, like, you just get beside these people sometimes. It's like 20 machines in here, and you come right next to this person, right? And it's because I think in their mind, it's like, I'm going to use this as motivation. I'm going to use this person. But you can't compare yourself to other people for motivation, right? You don't know what their system is, and you certainly haven't prepared for their system.
Right.
So you have these people that just they get on the machine right next to you. Then you increase for by 3, they increase by 3.
Right.
Or 4, right? Trying to outdo you. And then it's my process. All right, increase by 3 more. But see, you already kind of maxed yourself out because you weren't prepared to going up 4. So now I've increased. It's like, okay, I'm gonna increase a little bit more. And the point is, I've conditioned myself slowly to complete this process, this particular one, right? Mm-hmm. And whereas some people have a process where they just come in and go full speed for a short amount of time, you're not prepared for my endurance, the part of this that is, finishing this out and making sure you get a certain amount of time.
Right.
Then you have other people who come in and you usually last longer than me, but it's been at this slower pace, so you're not ready for the pace. The point is, you have to have something that works for you, and you figure that out over time, right? It's what you become in the process. But you are never going to figure that out if you are constantly measuring yourself by somebody else's process and their success and that sort of thing. If you're constantly looking over at somebody else's treadmill.
It's just like how when we talk about how people say, oh, I'm afraid to share my idea because I want nobody to steal it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know what it's supposed to look like, sound like, what color it's supposed to be, stuff like that. They can't replicate that because they don't know. They ain't done the work. It's worked the same thing in your example that you're talking about. The point is that, like, you should be aware of the competition, but you should not become what they are becoming. And honestly, like, like you said, like, your goals and their goals aren't the same. Like, because the thing is, like, if you're, like I said, I don't really do goals. right? I don't really do goals. I like to keep it open-ended and like, I'm just going to become the best at this thing that I possibly can be. And whatever comes with it, comes with it. Because like, once you hit those goals, then what? Because like, it feels like chasing to me. Right? It's like, and you'll always be chasing. Like how we all like, if you chase money, you'll never catch it. You'll always be chasing. And so, and I think that comes with self-actualization, where you just keep moving and keep moving forward, where you're so comfortable with yourself that you don't need goals. You don't need this benchmark. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't work for everybody. Some people need those benchmarks, those small victories. And I'm not saying I don't cherish small victories. Like, when I get like a superstar guest on the show, like that's a small victory for me. You know what I mean? But it's like, I don't know. It's just, people should just run their race, how they define success. Whatever you say success is, stick to that. Not what the dude on the next treadmill right next to you is trying to do. Because honestly, if they're doing that, they're not so confident in themselves, because they're constantly trying to compare themselves to you.
Right.
Like they're always looking for affirmation, always looking for whatever. It goes back to that very derogatory thing that women call other women when it comes to trying to get a man or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right, and this is very interesting. It's like you can get caught up in the idea of competing back with them instead of just stopping to realize, like, wait a minute, they're competing with me. That means I get to set the pace.
Facts. Right.
It's hard to see when you're in the middle of it. It's why it's important, to have these reminders.
Right.
It's hard to remember when you're in the middle of it, because human nature is kind of just it's to be outwardly focused, right? Instead of internally focused. And so, like that's been the journey. That's been the thing I think I've become, right?
Right.
Not so much just focused on I'm kind of the opposite, right? Most introverts are, right? Like focused internally, focused on my own thoughts, like interested in those things, and just really throughout this process, I've become so interested in other people's journeys and their stories and their challenges and how they were able to overcome them.
And there's something to be said about being inspired by somebody's story,
right? But not focused and and comparing myself to the people
and trying to replicate that exact same thing.
Because that's not my journey. That's not even the path I'm on. I'm not even going in the same direction. But there are there are lessons to be learned, I think, from other people's journeys, right? And so you internalize I say this to teachers, is like, the idea of adapt, not adopt. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So don't do what other people are doing, but definitely you can look at, what challenges they or how solutions they came up with, and just figure out how to adapt those and apply them to your own thing, like what you're going to be doing. So the situation is not going to be the same. So you'd have to be able to look for like commonalities, but that's way different from comparing yourself to somebody else.
And I think, and I just thought about this because we talked about this a couple of times. It's like, I think a lot of times people are sprinting because they feel like they have to get it all out, because they know deep down they'll lose interest. They know deep down they'll either lose interest or they ain't cut out for it. And so they gotta like maximize the time that they have while they have that mindset that I want to do this thing.
That's true.
And you can't, and it goes back to what you were saying. You don't know everybody's motivation. You don't know everybody's circumstance. You don't know everybody's intentionality.
Right.
Because
if you're trying to compare yourself, or you're trying to emulate somebody, and you're trying to build a successful, long-lasting, business, future Fortune 500, something that you could leave to your kids, that there will be shareholders in.
Right.
And then you find yourself like basically trying to compete with the person, and their goals are to, get this idea out there fast enough before anybody really investigates and finds there's an issue with this product or
Right.
thing or whatever. So make $1 million and then be out, because I know it's not long-term viable.
Right.
And then basically you made decisions that are counterintuitive to what your goals are.
And that's why, when we talk to Tom Golisano, Mark Randolph, and just so many people, they have that mindset. Like, people always talking about, you made $1 billion, when's enough? Now you made $2 billion. Shouldn't that be enough? Like, that idea of enough does not exist. It doesn't exist.
I think it's because at what is it, $400,000 or something? That says, like, at that point, that was enough as far as if you're talking about money.
$75,000.
Okay, well, whatever that marker is, right? It's like that's enough if you're talking about money. But when you're talking about, for me, right? So it's like when you're talking about innovating, when you're talking about like impact and legacy, and then it starts to be different. Like, when is enough? Like, there is no enough. It's just, I have to become whatever it is I'm supposed to become, whatever it is I'm becoming. And so if we're talking about money, enough would have been enough a long time ago. According to, I forgot what the source was.
We would have never started this company.
That's true. Because, man, just in there, and this is interesting just to show. I mean, if this was just about having a certain level of life, you could do that with a regular job, 2-income household, that sort of thing. And we met that threshold. You know what I mean? And that was just, I was a teacher.
We met that threshold before 30.
Right. And neither of us is famous. Neither of us. In fact, if anything, for the short term, it's like, okay, would you be willing to give this up for the possibility, of having more time to go? I think this is literally a conversation we had, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, would you be willing to give up the certainty or relative certainty? I think people, despite how many people lose jobs and that sort of thing, I think, it feels safe, Right. So would you be willing to give up the relative certainty of this, right? For more time at home, right? I'll be at home. I can be at home whenever I need to,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like, even, remember, we talk about all the time, like, at least for me, like, how the biggest joy I get is to be able to, can't do it now, but to be able to pick Zoe up from school every day.
Yeah, I feel like Zoe wishes you were picking her up from school.
Oh, I wish I was too. But like, you can't put a price on that.
No.
Like, if I'm still working at the bank, I don't get to do that.
Yeah, like for some Fridays you have to be there till 6 or whatever they schedule you.
Or even on a weekday, I stay there to 4.
That's
School
true.
lets out at 3:30.
That's true. And it's weird because it worked. It wasn't like we had a situation that didn't work. Like, I think it would be different if it's like, so we got to be school aged and then one of us had to be available, so we had to make a change. It's like, I was in school. I'm usually out by that time. I pick her up down the street, or maybe she goes to the school that I teach at or somewhere really close by. So we had a system that worked. It's just, it's not about working, is it though? It's like that could and should have been good enough. It's just...
It's self-actualization.
Yes.
To
and
me.
there's something where it's just like, it's inside of you and you're just like, I want more, but it's not about being greedy.
Right. Because there is a difference.
Yes.
There is a difference. There is like enough and being greedy. Those are two totally different things. That ain't the same thing.
And so I think most of the people who are long-term successful are people who just, I want more out of life.
Right. And it's just that the byproduct is just more money a lot of times.
Yes.
Right? Like for Jeff Bezos, it's like like his goal is to be the everything store and to service, a lot of, the market or wherever the case may be with books, and he wants to go to Mars with Blue Origin and stuff like that. The byproduct is honestly just the $1 billion, but the $1 billion ain't the thing. And I think a lot of times people who don't have the $1 billion don't understand that. They think like the money is the goal, because like, why wouldn't it be the goal? Because that's like important. And I think once you hit self-actualization, I just think that there become things that are literally, sorry for the cliche, just more important than money. It's just that money just so happens to come with it. Fame so happens to come with it. Notoriety so happens to come with it. But those three things aren't the thing. It's something else. Which is why, like Tom Golisano will tell you he has a yacht because that's a fact. That's proven. You can't, whatever. But he will never tell you that's why he does what he does. He will never tell you that. He would tell you that he does what he does so he can go take that yacht and get supplies to Haiti like he did. Right. That's what he would tell you. That's what he wants to do.
Because it enables you to do greater things. It's not about having greater money. Like I said, it's like, according to the study, like if you have $75,000, it's like optimum in terms of like if money.
To be fair, I think one study said 75.
Like 400.
One study said $75,000. Another said like 117. So it's like it depends.
Either way, there's some threshold that has nothing to do with having millions upon millions. Where in terms of money, that's just a reality.
The irony is that now you're just getting greedy.
Right. And so it's like a lot of people realize right now, it's like, of course, some money is required in the society to bring to make sure you have enough food.
Facts.
To make sure that you have, a living situation that's comfortable to you and that sort of thing. But it's like once you get past that, there's a threshold for money and happiness, right? After that threshold, money enables, right? So money enables you to do this. It enables you to help people. It enables you to give back. It enables you to raise whole communities. It enables you to inspire other people.
Right.
But it's like in terms of like anybody who just set out this, anybody who's at $1 billion and still doing this for the money, would just be driven crazy. Because that would mean you're still searching for something. And according to most research, if you were going to find it, you would have already had it.
Right.
Right? And so it's like at a certain point, it's like, look, it's about what the money enables you to do. But even in reality, it's not about the money then. It's about what your goals are, the things that you want to accomplish, the impact that you want to have on the world.
Right.
Right? And I think for both of us, it's really been this optimism, right? Mm-hmm. That everybody has this talent and this gift that they're supposed to share with the world.
Right.
And yeah, you can give a gift without expecting anything back. But the truth is, people who give get stuff back.
That's true. That's very true.
That's just how the world works. You don't have to worry and be consumed about it. But chances are, if you're a giving person, then people are gonna feed and sow into you as well. And so when you say the money is a byproduct, the money is a byproduct.
Right. It's true. It's true.
Give your gift to the world.
Right. And and do it unapologetically. Like, why do I have to apologize for being successful? Not being rich. I'm not saying that. There's whatever, right? But like, you shouldn't apologize for being successful, right? Because
it's like how people don't want to own being good. No, I don't pot kettle. I got you. Like, it's like, no, you have to be willing to own it too.
Right.
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 Because it's really, really difficult to expect other people to value it if you constantly undervalue it and undersell it and
exactly. Like, say what you want about backpack Kanye. Say what you want about, but he was always on that whole thing. Like, what's the line he said in Chappelle's show when he was doing the Chappelle show? Because my life is dope and I do dope shit.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
That's a great quote.
Right, like, you have to have.
But did you see when I posted that? Like, and I posted it as like a joke because we were talking about Kanye. Mm-hmm. But how some people's reaction to it was so put off by it.
They don't
just
understand.
Just the idea of somebody proclaiming that they're awesome. And I wasn't even talking about myself, right? I was literally quoting Kanye because we were talking about Kanye. But I just feel like, if you're gonna do this, you really can't be concerned by oh my gosh, that's the thing I hate most is how many people get derailed by the people who aren't even on the treadmill. Like you're focused on the person standing still, not even exercising in the middle of a gym.
They're not even
judging people.
They're not even in the damn gym.
Right. They're just like, he think he fast trying to run. It's like, yeah, I am fast, or I am strong, or I do have endurance. Like what, and that's crazy. We get derailed by the people who just don't even bother to step on. Like, I want to say Roosevelt. No, it's not Roosevelt.
It is Roosevelt. It's Theodore Roosevelt. I already know you're talking about get in the arena.
Get in the arena, right?
I heard that quote the other day.
We're always worried about the people who didn't even have the courage to step in the arena.
Right.
And we're constantly being judged and watched and subjected to their gaze. But you got to not care. You got to go in the arena. You got to fight your battle.
Right. They the assholes in the stands.
Right.
Right.
Time out, you bum. And it's like, if I hit you with 2 fingers, you would be knocked out. But I'm supposed to be worried about you.
We always talk about, that this life is hard. But how easy is that shit, though? Like
I know, right? That's the trade-off, right? It's like, I get this easy life, and it's really easy to be over here criticizing other people. But it's like, I'm not going to do any hard stuff. It's like, I as a matter of fact, it's a crazy thing. You won't get this often, but you should seek the criticism of people who are willing to do hard stuff.
Right.
Because whatever they tell you is going to be the answer to a question, or it's going to move you forward. But it's like, we're so afraid of the criticism of the people who don't even step into the arena, never get on a treadmill.
Right.
Even in the first place.
Right. And those people who give you those who do hard stuff and give you those criticisms, they respect what you do.
Right.
They speak the language that you speak.
And they've been there before.
Right. And that's why those people that come on the show who are like wildly successful, that's why they're willing to share.
Right.
That because they get it. They know. That's why I asked Mark Randolph about the very first day of Netflix when all shit went.
Right. And the thing is, I think they understand too. You can't undo the success of Netflix.
You can't.
You can't undo what I've accomplished. So it's not a threat to me for somebody else to go build their own thing.
Right.
Right.
That is funny. The great irony is that you're feeling insecure from people who have insecurities, because that's what it is.
True.
That's what it is. Like they are afraid to see you succeed, because it's like you told the kids after Barack Obama
okay,
was
let
elected.
me put that. I knew you were going to talk about it. Let me put this in context, because for somebody, okay. So at the time I was teaching some 9th graders, and in a really, really diverse school. So, but of course, all the kids, like, Barack Obama got elected, a lot of traditionally disenfranchised, like, minority groups saw that, and they just celebrated. And I celebrated too. I celebrated right along with them, for sure. But when they came to class the next day, they were like, yes, Obama, like, this is great. I was like, and they saw my face. They were just like, what is happening right now? I was like, shaking my head. I'm like, you guys don't even realize what just happened. They're like, what are you talking about? Aren't you happy? I was like, not for you.
Right.
Because what just happened is, after years of like me being in school and hearing, it's like, oh, you could be anything you want to, even the president of the United States.
Right.
And kind of on some level knowing that's not true, right? Like, I'm a girl, I'm black, I'm from South Memphis. Mm-hmm. Not gonna happen, right?
Right.
And so all of a sudden, there's a guy, and he's black, and he's from the South Side of Chicago, right?
And it's funny you saying that today, of all days, since that now Kamala Harris has been picked as the VP.
Right.
On the ticket.
As we're recording this, Kamala Harris is on the ticket. But it's like, at the time,
announced today, by the way.
Yeah, and it's so my thing for them was, dang, it just got harder for you guys to make excuses.
Right.
And then they thought about it, and they were like, oh my gosh, that's true, right? You don't have an excuse anymore, because there's evidence.
Right. Like, like same hood, same block. I decided to do this thing. And we say you can do this thing too, right? But, it's like, let's be honest, like, there's certain factors. I get that. But the thing is, it's like, if you want it and you're in a position for it, you can achieve it. You just can.
True.
And I'm not, once again, we all have our story. We all have our barriers. Some are, let's be honest, fucking worse than others.
And it's like, I think you just discover over the course of it these truths and these certainties. And so for you, and I think Will Smith, it's the idea again that like, I'm gonna die on the treadmill, or nobody's gonna outwork me. That's the truth.
Big
and
facts.
It's like, for me, it's
Big
been that thing.
Facts.
Yeah, it's like, for me, it's like, posted this, it's just like, for me, it's been the idea about, we talked about mountains, and that old saying is like, what happens when an immovable object meets a unstoppable force? Mm-hmm. And then my answer is like, one of them is going to be proven a liar. And what my life experience has taught me from the day I was born till today is that no force, no object is immovable.
Right.
It's not the same thing as saying that I am unstoppable.
Right.
But I don't stop. And because I don't stop, no object is ever immovable. And so you really think about like literally the metaphor of that, like this mountain, but mountains move all the time. You have plate tectonics. I don't want to get too sciencey. Okay, I'm a nerd, so here we go.
Right.
But you have plate tectonics, so literally the whole mountain moves, right? They shift, and I see that as kind of like societal change. It's slow, but it does happen. It's going to move. It's going to shift. So some of those barriers that were in place, when we were kids and when our parents, were children,
right?
It takes a long time, and the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice, as Martin Luther King said. So it takes time, but it will happen, right? Change is inevitable. But then there's also the idea that mountain can be chipped away at by something as seemingly innocuous as water. Slowly, piece by piece, pebble by pebble, and then at times when God wills, land by landslides.
Right.
But it will move, and it will change, and it will shift, and you can get it out of your way. And then if it won't get out of your way, you know what you could do? When you're water, when you're flexible, when you're not willing to stop moving, you just go around it.
Like Bruce Lee, be like water.
Yep. Because that person has to plant themselves, or that thing has to plant itself, so it's not moving. Mm-hmm. But that means if you're flexible and you're moving, you can shake it.
And that's what I be telling people, when it comes to this show and like podcasting and stuff like that, right? It's like, they talking about, you got to be a celebrity, you got to be a white man celebrity and stuff like that, to even make, like, I'm not a celebrity, I'm not white, I'm not, I'm talking to these amazing people, right? I'm not on CNBC or Bloomberg, but I'm talking to the same people. And not everybody can say that. How did I do it? I was obsessed. It was the work ethic. I was intentional about the move, but I couldn't have even fathomed that if I didn't get on the treadmill. If I didn't stay on the treadmill and I didn't keep that same pace. Cause like, I think people is like, you're trying to have it all in one sitting.
You can have it all, just not at the same time.
You can have it all, just not at the same time. And so it's like, that's all most successful people are doing. Like Amazon wasn't $1 trillion company, overnight, 10 years, right? Apple's almost at 2 trillion. It was just announced as of this recording yesterday that Tim Cook, I believe the first, or if not one of the first CEOs who was not the founder of the company to be net worth at $1 billion. You know what I mean? And so it's like, there's nothing wrong with moving slow. You just gotta move. That's what's important. Move in silence, or like I say, move in silence or move with a fucking band behind you. Just move. It's okay to move slow. Stop trying to get this thing where I gotta have it all right now. And like I said, people are all trying to have it all right now. They got to get this out now because they know. You always know. It's going to leave you. That feeling's going to leave you.
This episode is coming at, and this message is coming at an interesting time, of course, and it would be remiss not to acknowledge that, of course, these are difficult times. I think, I just saw something today. The headline is, thousands of businesses are disappearing, nobody's tracking, and that sort of thing.
Right.
These are unprecedented times, and they're, of course, going to be difficult. And there's the reality of needing, funding in order to pay people and to keep going, that sort of thing. But even if you go underground, don't stop.
Right.
There still needs to be a plan and strategies. Like, as soon as this happens, this is where I'm gonna be, and in the meantime, this is what I'll be doing.
Right.
But it's not about stopping. And sometimes in times like this, it's about doing what you do have control over. This is a perfect time to restructure. It's a perfect time to train, learn a new skill.
It is.
But it's not a good time. It's never a good time to stop.
Yeah, like creating ain't canceled.
No.
It's always open for business.
And there's too much that we could do right now with the resources that you probably have, sitting around for free. That, it just prepares you for the future.
We're done.
I think I'm done.
I think we're done.
That's everything I got.
Okay.
If you want to let us know what you think about our show, have an idea for a show topic, or would like to advertise on our show, send us a message on the Startup Life Podcast Facebook page. And while you are there, like and follow our page as well. It's a great way for us to engage with you, Startup Nation, and really grow our community. The link is there in the show notes. Subscribe to the show as it can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, or even on your Facebook timeline or any other platform you like to get your podcast. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts and you find our content valuable, please give us a 5-star rating, as it will help us climb the charts and help more people find our show. You can also listen to the show on the Startup Life Podcast new website. There you will find the all-new startup blog where I write on many topics that are interesting and helpful to you on your path to entrepreneurship. And hey, if you have an idea, be about that life, the startup life.